of the latest school year attended or the PPT certificate of rating, whichever is applicable. So if you have enrollees who are acceleration and equivalency passer for elementary and A&E passer for secondary, you have to ask from them the A&E elementary level certificate of rating or A&E elementary level certificate of rating for secondary also. And the additional requirement for this, that will be submitted during the school year, is the birth certificate from the PSA or the local civil registrar or barangay certification. So if you also have enrollees in your respective schools who are displaced learners, now, so what will you ask from them is any proof of identity or any means as directed by the central office. Additional requirements that will be submitted during the school year are the school Form 9 or the formerly Form 138, the progress report card, or the results of the PPT or the acceleration or equivalency test if applicable. So we will now proceed to the documentary requirements. So I hope you are jotting down or making screenshots as I presented this, no? So that you will all be guided. So in the absence of the PSA birth certificate, the parent or guardian must submit a birth certificate from the local civil registrar or even a barangay certification containing the basic information of the child. So I hope that the school heads, the PSDSS and the PICDs and the teachers are guided with this particular information that if in case the parent cannot present the PSA birth certificate, you can accept. Now you can accept the birth certificate from the local civil registrar or a barangay certification containing the basic information of the child. So I would like also to make a reiteration on DepEd Order 58 series of 2017 that the birth certificate shall be an attachment to the learner's permanent record. So this has to be attached by the permanent record of a particular learner. New records, balik-aral, or with enrollment gap in the LIS history are subject for Division Planning Officer's review and action. So you have to get in touch with this to our planning officer, Ma'am Sharon, if you have this balik-aral or enrollees that has an enrollment gap. So the use of enrollment form or Annex 2, no other form is required upon enrollment. So certificate of good moral is no longer required for admission, not included in the list of documentary requirement. A certificate of good moral is no longer required for admission or it is not included anymore in the list of documentary requirement. So learners must be enrolled. Ito yung pinaka-importante. Learners must be enrolled in the LIS as soon as the learner attended classes, even only one-day attendance. They have to be enrolled in the LIS as soon as they are attending classes, even for one day. So affidavit of undertaking is for learner with financial obligation from private school. Do not require this affidavit from learners coming from public school. So it is very clear that this affidavit of undertaking is for learners only with financial obligation from the private school where they came from. And this is not applicable for learners coming from public school. So we will now proceed to DepEd Order number 54 series of 2016. What is this DepEd Order is all about? So this is the guidelines on the request and transfer of learners' school records. So the tracking of transferred in or out or drop out. DepEd Order 54 series of 2016. The guidelines on the request and transfer of learner school records. no? So it has to be track, no? The ability to track learner movement or migration pattern within the basic education system. So the tracking shall be done online. Now, if ever there might be problem that will come, that may be experienced along the way, you can get in touch with the planning officer for her to give you the technical assistance in order to facilitate the tracking of this transferred in and out or even dropping out. So enroll in the LIS, the Learner Information System, to notify transfer. School-to-school transaction. So this will be done through school-to-school transaction, through courier service with respected reputation, transfer fees, no, or expenses that will be charged to MOOE or school funds. And this has to be done within 30 days turnaround time. So no holding of document due to financial obligation. So the SDO through SGOD extend technical assistance. And in the SGOD functional division, these claims are being lodged to the planning office. So what we can see on screen now is the picture that we can see in the LIS the moment there are transfer requests. And these are being applied and implemented already in the field, and the LIS coordinator of the schools are in charge of this. And it is advised that not only the LIS coordinator will be taking charge of this, that this has to be taken care also by the advisors so that they are also knowledgeable in terms of how to manage when there will be transferred in or out in their respective classes. So decline transfer or move out, we have reasons, no? We have reasons, select reasons, and these are all, these things can be seen the moment you will access the LIS. So I can still remember way back when I was still a school head that I am doing these things, no? Because I have the feeling that I can do this without the disturbing the teachers, because they also have many things to attend to their pupils. So I was the one doing all these things. That is why I can easily relate. So we also have here confirm, transfer, or move out. So I believe that you already have an experience of looking at the scenario, looking at this picture in your respective LIS system in your respective schools. We have there being printed in red font for learner with financial obligation. Check the with unsettled account box, make notation in the remarks box, amount of loan and other information. Click confirm. This only confirm that the learner is physically moved or transferred out. You are being reminded in the system that if this learner attended class in your school in that particular school year, please enroll the learner first before confirming transfer. Else, you will no longer be allowed to enroll learner with an earlier date of first attendance in this school. I can remember that if ever we are clicking, the moment we click and there are some considerations that we did not consider, hindi man din yan magtutuloy-tuloy, mag-blink man yan. So meaning to say that we are not doing the right thing. So we have to do it again until such time that we can correct the things that are being needed along with the transactions, along with these online transactions. So the clicking the box now with unsettled account, the learner is automatically tagged as temporarily enrolled in the system, and this status will be visible in the school form 1 and school forms generated forms from the LIS. So failure on the part of private school to click the unsettled account box and confirm button will interrupt the tracking system of LIS and may be considered as an act of non-compliance. I can still remember during the time that I served as PICD in Vincenzo Sagon, we have this problem about one student from Kabata National High School. I guess that we got a problem in terms of the tracking of the LIS because of the unsettled obligation. So I got in touch with Ma'am Sharon, and Ma'am Sharon also connected with the school in Manila. Remember that, no? So through constant communication lang, if ever you experience problem, no, you have to get in touch with the planning officer, and the planning officer also will be connecting the problem to the division planning officer where the child is coming from. So thanks God, no, before the checking, that particular issue was solved. So it is a matter of patience lang, patience on the part of the school head. The school head should serve as partner of the LIS coordinator, no, school LIS coordinator. So that the school LIS coordinator also will feel that we are not leaving them. No, we are backing them up, especially when there will be issues that will be encountered in the school. Because it will be the school head who will coordinate with the planning officer, whatever might be the problems that they experience in the respective schools. And definitely, no, I am certain that the planning officer also in the division will not leave you behind. So, register awareness of school on DepEd Order 54 series of 2016. So the hard copy request is no longer required. No? So system notification is enough. So hindi na natin pa, we will already stay away from the practice that we still have to send request to the school where the pupil came from. So it is a school to school using the system. No, it is a system that automatically notify the school where the child came from. So private schools must be informed that the confirmation action is for the physical transfer of the learner and nothing to do with the learner's financial obligations. So the schools division office is expected to extend technical assistance to school having difficulty in coordination. Ito yung sinabi ko kanina. Ang bait talaga ni Ma'am Sharon kasi hindi talaga siya tatalikod sa atin, especially when there will be problems. I myself can attest to that, and I am a living witness that during my time also. No, I just get in touch with Ma'am Sharon, and Ma'am Sharon connected the problem to the division where the child is coming from. I can assure you with that. So the guidelines of the preparation and checking of school forms, these things are being anchored on DepEd Order number 11, series of 2018. So we have here the data validation, the technical assistance to school, to maintain and ensure the LIS accuracy level, and the policy implementation feedback. So we have here, in the school, we gather the data, and that particular data has to be validated. After validation, it will undergo intensive analysis before we make decision, and that data is automatically being transmitted to the central office, and that data will serve as the basis for the allocation of resources or policy issuances. So banking on this cycle, it is very important that we have to give or put in accurate data so that we will also be provided with accurate and correct resources, and we will be provided with accurate policy issuances from the central office. So what we can see now is the overview. We are moving forward to the school forms checking study. So I hope that you can see, that the forms that are being posted on screen is also visible in your end. So we have here the flow chart, the process and adjustment, the primary document that will be looked into during the checking, starting from the school level. So the LIS generated school form 1. So I hope that you have started doing this. Now the LIS generated school form 5, the school form 10, or the formerly form 137, ECD checklist for grade 1, and the certificate of completion for kindergarten. The secondary supporting document is the birth certificate or equivalent document and the class record. So it is suggested here in the SDO that you need to generate the LIS generated forms as indicated in the flow chart. To avoid cramming, what are the things usually happen during checking is the schools will be generating these forms a day before the scheduled checking. Kaya nga ang teachers are having sleepless night of waiting because during this time, magka-traffic pa yung system. So it is advised that while early, you can now start generating this LIS-generated forms to avoid cramming. And this is a matter of helping our teachers not to stress themselves, especially during checking. So that means that previous planning, no, doing these things 1 month or many weeks before the scheduled checking will prevent our teachers from staying in an 11th hour situation. So we have to proceed now to the flow of the checking. The checking process, no? We have to start from generating the LIS generated school form 1. So ito talaga yung pinaka-umpisa. Or the birth certificate, no, or equivalent, these are the secondary supporting document because this birth certificate should be attached na to the SF10, no? So, nag-generate na ng school form 1. So, if you have to ask yourselves, are the data indicated in the generated form 1 are consistent? So, if it is yes, mag-umpisa tayo sa yes. Pag consistent pa siya, the LIS generated school form 5 or for kindergarten SF5K for kinder, no, and what is that? The ECD checklist for kinder, then SF4 for what is that? For March, the month of March, then add it on with the SF10 form 137. That is if the data in SF1 is consistent. Then you have to add on the secondary document, the class record or summary grades form 138. You also have to ask prepare the certificate of completion for grade, what is that? Grade 6? Is that grade 6? I cannot read. The pink one siya. Certificate of completion, no? Or grade 6, 10, and 12. Okay, certificate of completion for grade 6, 10, and 12. If we have to go back to the generated form 1, if the data are not consistent, so you have to go back to your LIS to adjust the LIS learner profile until such time that the data are congruent, the data are being consistent, no? You have to wait for that. So, if the LIS generated school form 5 is not consistent, no, pag not consistent, but if there will be non-consistencies in terms of data, you have to go back to your LIS, no, LIS, to make some adjustment. That is the thing that you will do. But if it is consistent, pag ang form 5, LIS generated form 5 is consistent, you have to proceed to the LIS generated school SF6, no, or check the summary per class or per section. Then proceed to the school form checking report. Then that will be all. Now, for a phase 3, happy path na, validation path. So all of this, no, okay na yung mga forms that needs to be validated. So the presentation now on screen are the process flow of the checking. So what to check and how? So we have to start with, as you can see in the process flow, start everything in the school form 1. So we'll prepare the school form 1. It should be the advisor. So it has to be attached with the secondary requirements, no, the documents, the birth certificate, or the equivalent document as stipulated in DO3 series of 2018. So the form 1 should contains the learner's complete name, date of birth, and gender. So if not match, just like being showed in the diagram in the previous slide, if not match, you have to go back to the SF1 in the LIS to make some adjustments. So the next document is school form 4. The school form 4 must be prepared by the school head, or school form 5 prepared by the advisor. What are the data that should be looked into in this particular school form school form. So the number of the registered learners column in school form 4 is away, the number of learners column in school form 5. If it is not matched, then proceed to the LIS again, validate each learner using school form 2 and make adjustment as to the status of enrollment through LIS updating status. So for school form 5, no, as being prepared by the advisor, no, the support document for this is school form 10 or unapplicable certificates. So what are the data that will be validated in this particular form? So we have the learner's complete name, LRN, general average, and end of school year status in school form 5, or the school form 10. So if not match, validate that again using school form 1 and school form 9 or the grades, and adjust end of school year, then general average through LIS or end of school year updating. No, so for school form 4, no, this, just like what I told you, this will be prepared by the school head. No? So, and school form 6 also shall be prepared by the school head. The data that will be validated in this particular forms are the number of registered learners by class, column in school form 4, then the numbers of learners column in school form 6. So if it is not matched, then validate that again each class using the school form 5. So I hope that you are guided with this. So we will be providing you with a soft copy of this presentation for you to be guided on the things that you need to do. So reminders. Only two levels of checking. Only two levels of checking. The school level, all classes to be conducted by the school checking committee, no, or the SCC. So the second level is division random checking. So all schools but randomly selected classes only by the division checking committee or the DCC. So only school form 1, school form 4, school form 5, school form 6, and SF10 are subject for checking. So SF2 and SF9 are just secondary report and need not be checked unless for validation purposes. So I hope you are guided with this. The school form 2 will be used only as reference in case of inconsistencies in SF1, SF4, and SF5. SF9 can only be checked if SF5 and SF10 did not match. So SF3 and SF8 are not supposed to be reviewed or checked by the school checking committee and the division checking committee. Mandatory division checking committee membership of sets for planning and research and the Division Planning Officer 3. The LIS or the ICT coordinator must be assigned as vice chairperson of the school checking committee. Again, the LIS or the ICT coordinator must be assigned as vice chairperson of the school checking committee. The PSA or the NSO birth certificate is preferred but not required or mandatory. I hope that this is clear for our members of the checking committee to avoid situations to happen again that during checking, no, that the teachers are in a hurry of going to Sami City and ask for the PSA or the NSO birth certificate. So it is very clear in this orientation that it is preferred but not required or mandatory. So other equivalent document can be used as reference to establish the identity of the learners. This other equivalent document, no, are already mentioned in the previous slide. So I hope that you are jotting that down para hindi magka-problema during the schedule of the checking. Reminders. for all the members of the checking committee, for the school checking committee and the division checking committee, that you have to focus on the accuracy and the consistency of learner information instead of cosmetic aspects of the school forms. Walay pagwakahay. Kay puros na sa document generated from the LIS. Ha? Focus on the accuracy and consistency of learner information instead of cosmetic aspects of the school forms. Another reminders. LIS generated school forms with preloaded learner information are not subject to editing. Are not subject to editing outside the LIS. Kasi may iba, dina-download nila, tapos ang soft copy na, ini-edit nila. So ang editing, no, ang adjustment of the record is not really transmitted to the central office because you are doing the editing outside the LIS. So I hope that at this point in time, our LIS coordinators or ICT are also guided not to make some editing outside of the LIS. So any correction should strictly be done in the system. You still have ample time to make corrections in order for the data in the LIS is very accurate. So when printing, so ito, kadalasan ang tanong, when printing the LIS generated forms, you are advised to use black ink, not blue. Do not advise to use black ink on an A4 size of bond paper. That A4, it is specified here, 8.27 by 11.69. Or long folio, 8 by 5 by 13 white bond paper. So I hope that these instructions shall be implemented in all the schools. This particular reminder is intended for the class advisors. So I hope that we also have class advisors online, no? So joining with us in the YouTube. So you are not required to prepare additional local forms for the ranking of honors. No more requirement to prepare additional local forms for the ranking of honors for advisors. The school form 5 upon validation against the school form 10 can be used to evaluate and determine the learners who are candidates for honors and other citations. So the traditional practice of ranking has not been applicable since school year 2016-2017. So, schools are not required to prepare additional local forms for the ranking of honors. So I hope you're guided with this, no? So this would just be an additional burden on the part of the advisors. So you are now being informed that no additional local forms for ranking of honors that will be prepared by the advisors. Another reminders for the class advisors, you are not required to prepare and submit obsolete school forms that were replaced by modified school forms through DepEd Order number 4 series of 2014. No, so I'm not required to prepare and submit obsolete school forms that were replaced by modified school forms through DepEd Order number 4 series of 2014. Okay, so these are the list of all forms and modified school forms. So don't worry, no, I think the font of the presentation is quite small. I believe that in your end, you can hardly read the content of this. So we promise that we have to provide you with the copies of this presentation for your guidance. Okay. So, for the school forms checking study, we have here the diagram, no? Focus area of checking and means of validation. So, these are the things that will be focused by the SGOD and the CID. The team that will be deployed during the checking are, the members of it are composed of the people from the SGOD and the CID. And each of them has their respective area of focus. So for the SGOD, they will focus on the enrollment count, the dropout, the transferred in and out, and the number of promoted or retained. For the CID people, they will focus on the enrollment eligibility and assessment compliance. That includes promotion, retention, or acceleration. So they are being guided on the things that they have. They will focus the moment they will be going to your respective stations for the division checking as scheduled on the division memorandum that has been released already on the field. Okay, sampling or drawing of lots. So we have here in the first column the size of the school, then the second priority grade levels and other grade level minimum number of classes. So if your school has a total enrollment of 99 and below, so you are very small category. For if your enrollment is 100 to 299, you belong to small category. If your school has an enrollment of 300 to 499, you belong to medium category. But if your school is having an enrollment of 500 to 799, so your school is under large category. So for 800 to 999 enrollment, you belong to very large school. And if your enrollment is 1,000 and above, then you belong to a huge size of school. So for very small school, the priority grade level, 100% to 100%, or all of the grade level sections will be checked. So for small categories, small size of school, only 50%. For medium school, 30%. For large school, 20%. And very large school, 10%. And for huge, only 5%. So estimated minimum number of classes, the 50% estimated is 4 classes. For medium, 5 classes. Large is 6. Very large is 7. Then huge is 8. So other grade levels, minimum number of classes. For very small, 2. The rest, no? Small is 2, medium is 2, large is 3, very large is 4, and huge is 5. What you can see on screen is the school forms checking report 1A. This is the school form. This will be utilized by the school head, no? School forms checking report. So we've been using these forms since before pa. When I was still a school head, we already been acquainted on how to use this particular form. This is the school forms checking report second part. Yung kanina first part, and this is the second part. So this has to be confirmed by the school head or the school checking committee chair. Then you have to indicate the date, no, during completed. This is the date for the division level. This is the school forms checking report 1B. This is the consolidated district school forms checking report. So this will be complied by the district, no? District. This is this consolidated district, this consolidated division school forms checking report. This will be utilized during the division checking schedule na. This will be used by the division checking committee. So the school checking committee shall conduct checking in their own school. No swapping of SCC from one school to another is permitted. So these are the instructions. The name of the school checking committee members shall be printed and put their signature on top. No? So you have to add space if there are many members of the school checking committee. So the school head is liable for any wrongful entry on the forms, and only LIS generated school form file shall be recognized as indicated in DepEd Order 11, Series of 2018, page 7. So this form shall be submitted to the Division Checking Committee together with the accomplished SFCR1 and School Checking Committee as stipulated in DepEd Order 11, Series of 2018. So kining mga This form shall be prepared now by the school, by the district, and this shall be submitted during the division checking schedule. So only two levels of checking. No, this is a matter of making a synopsis of the previous presentations. No, only two levels of checking: school level, all classes to be conducted by the school checking committee, and the division random checking, all schools but randomly selected classes only by the DCC. Mandatory division checking committee membership of sets for planning and research and the division planning officer 3. The LIS or ICT coordinator must be assigned as vice chair of the school checking committee. So only SF1, SF4, SF5, SF6, and SF10 are subject for checking. SF2 and SF9 are just secondary report and need not be checked unless for validation purposes. SF2 will be used only as reference in case of inconsistencies in SF1, SF4, and SF5. SF9 can only be checked if SF5 and SF10 did not match. SF3 and SF8 are not supposed to be reviewed or checked by the school checking committee and the division checking committee. So the PSA birth certificate is preferred but not required or mandatory. Other equivalent document can be used as reference to establish the identity of the learner. Focus on accuracy and consistency rather than cosmetic and format. So, this is now the checking of school forms. We have the guide and the preparation of school forms checking reports, the SFCRs, and the school forms to be checked. So these forms has been introduced already by the previous slides. So we will now proceed to the modified school and ALS forms, or the phase 2, or the second set, no, DepEd Order 58, series of 2017. So this particular DepEd order, we have the outline, the rationale, the scope or coverage, policy issuance as indicated in DepEd Order 58 series of 2017, the implementation, initial feedback, other matters than the next step. So this is now the screenshot of DepEd Order number 58 series of 2017, reiterating the compliance of DepEd Order number 4 series of 2014 and closing the gaps. This the content of this is also the phase that covers all levels, including ALS, then introduces standard format and content of the health and nutrition basic report. So, DepEd Order number 58 still no series of 2017 that tells us the mandatory for all public schools, highly encouraged for other schools. So, this has been effective during the end of school year 2017-2018. Then it also tells us to familiarize with the content and the guidelines, then the advocacy and strict compliance. So, for the school forms, this is a review of the school forms for you to be guided that to update data elements in existing school forms, to create simplified new school forms or standardized format or the content, but without compromising the quality of the data being gathered. We have the standardized format, the streamlined process, and to reduce number of data elements, particularly in the time and effort and the budget. Based on a group which conducted a study on school forms, 36 common forms were reviewed, and from which 16 forms were finalized as a priority for phase 1. So we have before 65 school forms from the inventory conducted as of June 2012. Then it is being turned into 36 identified as most common school forms in the general forms. And now, it is now becoming into 16 forms as priority for review for phase 1. So, these are now the school forms, so level by level. For kinder, we have the SF5K, this is intended during the end of school year assessment report. For elementary, we have the school form 10 for elementary school, the permanent academic record. For junior high school, SF10 for junior high school, permanent academic record. Before, this particular form is the Form 137. For senior high school, SF1 to SF8, similar to junior high school, as indicated in DepEd 4 series of 2014, except for SF5A, every end of semester, and SF5B for grade 12 completers only. For all levels, we have this SF8 or the health and nutrition. Then all levels except kinder, we have this is called Form 9, or renaming of progress report card. Content and format should be in accordance with DepEd Order number 8, series of 2015. For ALS forms, we have the ALS Form 1 to ALS Form 5, the new forms replacing the MIS 001 and MIS 002. So the basic, we have the content and format of the SF10 or the formerly called Form 137. We have the basic profile, we have the academic performance, and we have the certification. So this is now the basic profile and eligibility of the school Form 10 in the elementary school. So I know you all have already seen the physical side of this particular form. So applicable to school Form 10 elementary school, school Form high school, and school Form 10 for senior high school, renamed from Form 137. So only DepEd official logo and seal is visible. Again, do not insert the name of school and its logo at the heading. Do not insert the name of school and its logo at the heading of this school Form 10. An individual record of learners' academic achievement per level is being indicated in this school Form 10, and this form also includes the name of the advisors from the current school year to the next school year. So the name of the learner is as is. So these are now the academic performance of a certain learner as being indicated in the school Form 10. So I believe that most all of us are already aware of the contents in this particular school form. We have here the certificate of transfer, or still in the school Form 10. Then what is the important thing that we need to take note is that would include the signature over printed name by Inca, by ink, not e-signature of the principal, and the school's official seal. So, in terms of preparation and updating, so the class advisor of grade 1 and grade 7 will prepare one copy of the school Form 10 for elementary school and SF10 for junior high school with other supporting documents. So the class advisor of the other grade levels will update using the same or the original school Form 10. So every end of the school year only, not every end of the quarter. So kindergarten will only use the ECCD checklist instead of school Form 10 or Form 137. In terms of transfer and safekeeping, so the school where the learner completed grade 6 and grade 10 will keep the original copy of the school Form 10. So the duplicate copy will be kept by the originating school in case of transfer to the other school. So use a separate grading box if transferred within the school year. So copy the existing grades for previous quarters to complete the current grading box. So I hope you are guided with this instruction. So policy on transfer document or DepEd Order 54 series of 2016, indicated in the DepEd order, the guidelines on the policy on transfer documents. So these are now the what is this? The flow of the learner's permanent academic record. And the academic record of the learners can be seen in the Form 137 is now cancelled, can be seen on the SF10 or the learner's permanent academic record, no, or the SF10 that passing in the previous slides. So no, a list of the learner's academic performance and result of assessment by the end of the school year. So only DepEd official and logo is visible. Paulit-ulit, no? Inulit-ulit kasi this has been perennial questions before. And as observed, no, by the division checking committee, that there are schools that they indicated the school logo in the school form 10. That is why it is always repeated in the slides not to indicate the school logo. Instead, only DepEd logo, DepEd official and logo is visible in the SF10. Do not include the name of school and logo as heading. Okay, so that ends my presentation. Half of the presentation, no, half of the orientation presentation is done by me, and the other half will be presented to you by no less than our amiable planning officer of our schools division, Ma'am Sharon Gay Cadilinia. Thank you for bearing with me, and I hope that you are jotting down the important points that you need to consider, especially in the preparation of your forms for the coming school checking and division checking. Mabuhay tayong lahat and mabuhay ang Zamboanga del Sur. Right.
All right, that was Sir Tony Ganub of the SGOD. Thank you so much, Sir Ton, for that very comprehensive discussion on DepEd Order number 37, Series 2022. This time, ladies and gents, let's proceed to our next speaker who will be discussing DepEd Order number 11, Series 2018. Let's give it up for our Division Planning Officer 3, Ma'am Sharon Gay Bana Cadilinia. A round of applause, please.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, PSDS, PICDs, our school ICTs, and our school LIS coordinators. Good morning. To continue with our checking of forms orientation for today, there are other references which are stipulated in DepEd Order number 11, series of 2018. You remember this was the enrollment policy, no? Let's read the slide. The checking of school forms, sa checking of school forms, bakit dapat LIS generated SF1 and SF5 ang ipacheck at hindi ang commercialized electronic forms? Because it is stipulated in DepEd Order number 11, sinasabi din na ang policy na dapat ang mga SFs na ginagamit sa checking ay may pirma. Remember, may pirma or initials ng LIS coordinator bilang vice chair ng SCC. Isasama naman ng DCC sa kanilang report ang school na gumagamit ng commercialized school forms. I know DepEd Zamboanga del Sur is not anymore practicing using commercialized school forms because it was already, a DepEd order was already issued that no using of commercialized school forms should be used in schools. Sa checking of forms, ano-anong primary reports or forms ba ang babasahin ng mga checkers? As mentioned earlier, primary documents, the LIS generated SF1, 5, SF10, or Form 137, SF4, and SF6 by the school head, the ECCD checklist or the progress report of kinder, certificate, or diploma. Secondary documents, birth certificate or equivalent document. Ano nga yung, what was the equivalent document of birth certificate? It's also indicated in the DepEd order, barangay certification with the basic information of the learner is acceptable, no? And then for SF2 for the months of February and March, we will, because of our school year na iba yung months, we require SF2 for the months of May and June. Remember, SF2 for the months of May and June. Maliban sa birth certificate or equivalent document, ang secondary documents ay gagamitin lamang kapag ang mga primary documents ay hindi nagkatugma. Importante na alam pareho ng teacher at checker, remember, ano lang ang mga required para hindi magiging stressful ang checking, no? Basahin ang DepEd Order 11, 2018 para updated ang guidelines. May updated na, no, na updated guidelines. DCC checker ka ba? For the DCC checkers, these are listed in our memo 196, series of 2022. Kasama ba sa i-check ang number of school days na nasa Form 137? Ang sagot ay hindi na, no? Hindi nakasama i-check ang number of school days. Okay? Basahin ang DepEd Order number 11 para sa rules and functions of the DCC. Ang number of school days ay hindi kasama sa i-check at inalis na ito sa bagong format ng Form 137 na ngayon ay SF10. Tama po, nagbabago na ang focus at objectives ng checking of school forms. Yung dating nagagawian ay obsolete na. Kaya para maiwasan ang kalituhan at mahirapan ang mga teachers, aralin muna ang DepEd 11 Series of 2018 bago sumabak sa checking. Okay? And then there is also DepEd Order number 7 Series of 2019. This is a memo to school for not complying DepEd Order 58 Series of 27. This is about the compliance with DepEd Order number 58, adoption of new school forms. Kasi may ibang schools, as what was earlier stated, naglagay ng mga school logo in our school forms, which is not actually acceptable. Sa mga number of school days, possible ba na magkaroon ng magkakaiba ng mga regions at nationally set number of school days? Paano kung may mga local holidays, celebrations, pwede ba itong i-reflect sa number of actual school days? Paano kung may natural and man-made calamities? Ano ang dapat gawin para mabawasan ang number of school days? Basahin ang DepEd Order number 7, Series of 2019, which states schools may observe national and local celebrations other than those indicated in enclosure 2 and 3, provided that these are beneficial to learners. In this regard, regional offices may issue a supplemental calendar. We cannot deduct or not holidays that were not unless that were maybe celebrated, not unless a regional memo of a supplemental calendar to reflect the local events. DepEd Order number 54, Series of 2016, hindi po ba pinadala ang originating school ang Form 137 ng transferred in mo kahit na enrolled mo sa LIS at may notification na sa system 30 days or more. Basahin ang DepEd Order number 54. Sinasabi sa policy na dapat itong i-report sa Division Office SGOD. Gumawa ng letter po para sa inyong superintendent. Dapat i-report ang name of school at kung anong division office nakasakop. I-screenshot ang transfer request mula sa LIS. LIS is already a notification platform for transfers, di ba? Kabalumantana school heads. But after 30 days, hindi pa rin nag-confirm yung originating school. You can write or you can come to the office sa planning so that we can help you facilitate transfers from other divisions. But of course, from our division, kailangan we have group chat, we also have our Facebook page. You can also ask us for facilitating transfers, no? Other references, SFs and systems that generates SF not for sale. Yes, SF school forms are not. Bakit hindi dapat ipagbili o ibenta o pagkakitaan ang school forms? Dahil ang mga SFs na ito ay pinag-aralan at ginawa ng mga volunteers. Volunteer teachers, school heads, supervisors, at iba pang mga kawani ng DepEd para pakinabangan ng mga schools. Walang anumang honorarium sila na tinanggap ng mga volunteers. Bakit gagawing pakikitaan at ibang tao ang contribution ng mga SFs na ito? Order number 11, commercialized school forms are mentioned in DepEd Order number 58. These are not acceptable. Okay? DepEd Order number 11, Series of 2018. Progress report card. Paano dapat isulat ang pangalan ng learner sa SF9? Saan ilagay ang extension name kung mayroon? Ang sagot ay stipulated in DepEd Order number 11, series of 2018. Do not worry, we will be giving copies of this presentation. For easy reference and cross-checking, beginning school year 2018-2019, dugay na daig practice, the arrangement of learners' name in SF9, formerly Form 138, should be written the way it was generated in SF5. Again, should be written the way it was generated in the SF5. Currently, the system-generated SFs print the name of learners in this order: last name, first name, name extension, and the middle name. Ana di ay no? For uniformity and correct recording, the extension name, if any, must be encoded in the LIS in the separate data field for extension name, regardless of the order in which it appeared in the birth certificate. Sa ato LIS, naa di ay field for extension name. So kadto imong generate, mao na gito ang i-follow. Family name, unsa to? Last name, first name, name extension, and middle name. Kanang name extension, the junior, the senior, the third. So, i-generate na sa SF5 nimo, automatic na siya. Dili na ta mo refer sa birth certificate on how it was written. Ang atong reference sa SF5 is on how we encoded it in the LIS. Okay? Next. Checking of school forms, kasama ba ang mandatory document report and SF9 for progress report card? Hindi kasama ang SF9. Okay? During checking. Other references, pinapagawa ka ba ng SF10 para sa first quarter? Ang answer is SF10 should not be prepared quarterly. Bakit mabuting sundin ang DepEd order na ito? Gusto natin mabawasan ito sa paulit-ulit na trabaho ng teacher. Sabi ng DepEd Order 11 series of 2018, hindi pa naman kailangan ng SF10 tuwing matatapos ang quarter. Correct? Maliban sa transferred out. Kung na mo transferred out, mag-entry ka by quarter. Kung usa siya quarter ni transferred out. Maiwasan, ma-expose na madalas ang SF10. Kaya magsige ka entry by quarter, magusbat atong SF10, no? Okay? And then dahil final at sure na ang mga grades sa bawat quarter subjects, updated na din ang learner's profile sa LIS generated SF1, maiwasang magkamali sa pag-prepare ng SF10. These are the reasons why SF10 is not required to be accomplished quarterly, no? Hindi dapat. Next, makatanggap ba ng SF10 with school logo? Nakatanggap ka ba ng SF10 with school logo, name sa letterhead, or may nakalagay na no entry sa mga vacant boxes? Ito po ay direct violation sa sinasabi ng DepEd Order number 58 na walang ibang logo ang dapat makita sa SF10 maliban sa DepEd logo. Remember, ang SF10 ay hindi ng pag-aari ng school. Again, may I repeat? Ang SF10 ay hindi pag-aari ng school. Pag-aari ito ng DepEd. At para sa uniformity, lahat ng public school ay mayroong lamang isang format at guidelines na sinusunod. This is indicated in DepEd Order number 58 series of 2017. Bakit end of the school year dapat i-prepare ang SF10? Again, because during the school year, hindi naman kailangan ang SF10 maliban sa transferred out. At the end of the school year, final na ang lahat ng quarterly final grades. Adjusted na din kung may mga remedial, kaya mas madali na gawin ang SF10, wala nang adjustment. Dahil nasa ordinary bond paper, yes, it is again repeated, no? DepEd Order number 11 series of 2018, the use of school form checking report 1A and 1B is also stipulated. DepEd Order number 11 series of 2018. Pipirmahan, I repeat, again read this, pipirmahan ng SCC ang SFR A1A at ibibigay ito sa DCC. Gagawa ang DCC ng sariling SFR 1B para nasa raffle na sections at pirmahan in 2 copies. Isa sa SCC at isa sa DCC care of PSBS. System, SFs and system that generates SF not for sale. Again, it's actually not for sale. Other references to DepEd Order number 3, mga dapat malaman tungkol sa temporary enrollment. This is again stipulated in DepEd Order number 3, series of 2018. I suggest that the schools will print out these DepEd orders that are being mentioned para during the checking, dili pa kaayo, we will have cross-referencing, no? Sino ang temporary enrolled? These are learners who are not officially enrolled due to deficiencies in submission of documentary requirements. Okay? Next, transfer of school document. Hindi po ba dumarating ang required Form 137 or SF10 nang transferred in sa school ninyo? Humingi pa din ba ng written request from the originating school? Nag-follow po ba ng mahigit na 30 days? There was one school head who asked the office nga, ma'am, dili man ihatag ang SF10 sa learner nga transferred in namo. Dili daw ihatag kay wala daw may written request. So now it is in DepEd Order number 54, the LIS is already a prompting notification that you have to confirm transferred out, i-confirm nimo, and then after that, you send through a courier ang ilahang SF10 nga original. You leave a photocopy for the school. Ang pag-send sa courier, it's chargeable to MOE. Mangayo mo o mailing fee from your school heads. It is chargeable from your MOE. Kanang mag-mail na mo sa mga SF10s. School or division checking committee member ka ba? Gentle reminder lang po na mag-start ang checking activities po ay after the end of the academic quarter, which is now June 24. Wala pong advanced checking na gagawin ahead sa school calendar schedule. But in our end, sa Division of Zamboanga Sur, we do the checking on June 23 and 24 for kindergarten, for grade 6, grade 10, and grade 12. Okay, that would be on June 23 and 24. It is again in our memorandum. It's already posted in our website. But again, we will issue another an advisory because there are minor corrections for our memorandum. Bakit kaya nagsimula ang pagbabago sa school forms noong 2014 hanggang ngayon mayroon pa ding nakikita na non-compliance? Saan ba talaga ang problema? Let me read it aloud. Sabi ng policy, school heads will be held accountable and liable for any deliberate wrongful entry in the forms. School heads, okay, again, school heads will be held accountable and liable for any deliberate wrongful entry in the forms. This is in DepEd Order number 4, 2014. Instructions for SF5 instruction in the LIS. The SCC shall conduct checking in their own school. No swapping of SCC from one school to another. This was read earlier. The name of the SCC member shall be printed and put their signature on top. Additional space may be added. This form shall be submitted to the DCC together with the accomplished school form checking report 1. The DCC is not required to put their names. DCC. The DCC is not required to put their names and signatures in SF5 since the school head is accountable and liable for any wrongful entry on the forms. So, dili na kinahanglan ang mga DCC which are in our memorandum to sign because the school head is accountable and liable for any wrongful entry in the forms. DCC deputized checker ka ba or member ng SCC? Transfer of documents. This is resumption of implementation of policy on checking of school forms, no? Transfer of document within 30 days upon receipt of system notification. Unsa system notification? Naa siya sa LIS. Remind the school heads that the written request of transfer is again no longer needed or required if LIS notification is available. Isa ka bang member ng school checking committee or deputized division checking committee? You can see the roles and the guidelines in DepEd Order again, number 11, series of 2018. Congratulations if you're a member. Gentle reminder lang po, basahin natin again ang DepEd Order 11 for the checking of forms. Paano ba dapat i-prepare ang SF4? Computerized, printed, or handwritten? Sulat kamay. Napansin at allow all public school teachers and school heads to focus on their core business and curriculum delivery. Simple. Upon review and based on consultations with different, is this, yeah, for senior high school, information needed for learners from and record in senior high school. Schools can choose to print it. School can choose to print it and fill it up or fill it up manually. Pwede i-encode, pwede po manually. Okay? Composition of school checking committee. Na-read na ni ganihan. Again, I will read. A checking committee shall also be created in the school level with school head as the chair and SCC as SCC chair. The school head shall determine the membership. Si school head yun ang magbuot. There will be 2 vice chairs at the SCC, the ICT coordinator or the system admin for LIS shall serve as vice chair for enrollment counts and learners profile. The school head shall also appoint the most capable school personnel as vice chair for curriculum and assessment. Duha man day ang vice chair. The Vice Chair for Enrollment Count and Learner Profile will focus on LIS related issues and school report generation, while Vice Chair for Curriculum and Assessment will ensure that the content of school forms and reports are compliant with the policies related to enrollment eligibility, curriculum, promotion, and retention. Madalas ka bang naghintay ng matagal ng originating school? Yes, these are some, of the problem sa pagtanggap ng SF10 at gusto pa ng written request kahit may LIS notice na. Ayaw pa ba rin mag-confirm ang originating school na private school? This is DepEd Order 37 series of 2022 that reminds us that system LIS is already a notification for the originating school to confirm transfers. Okay? Dili na need ang written request again. DSCC checking, lahat ba ng sections ay dapat i-check? Hindi po lahat. Kahit sa mga existing grade levels, mayroon lang certain percentage, limitado, bilang ng sections or classes na dapat i-check mula sa draw lot ng DCC, depende sa school, again, school classification, indicated in DepEd Order number 11, series of 2018. Dapat nang i-attach ang birth certificate at iba pang supporting documents sa SF10 na pag nag-transfer ang learner. Of course, i-attach na to ang birth certificate. Kailangan po yan ng receiving school. At para hindi na sila maghingi ng copy ng birth certificate from the parent, need din ang attachment sa checking of school forms. Kaya kung ikaw ang receiving school, if you are the receiving school, malipay yun ka, no? If attached na ang birth certificate sa SF10, no? And these are the supporting documents which was mentioned earlier by Sir Gano. Pwede bang tumanggap ng transferred in kahit fourth quarter? Guidelines in DepEd Order number 11, series of 2018, sinabi ng DepEd Order, transferred out ang learner na lumipat, umalis within the school year. Mabasa naman sa RA 9155 na ang mandate ng DepEd ay itaguyod at protektahan ang karapatan ng bawat batang Pilipino sa pagkuha ng libreng edukalidad at edukasyon. Kaya pag-isipan ito kung hindi natin sila tatanggapin para maipatuloy ang kanilang pag-aral, ano ang mangyari sa mga ito. But again, let us also check on the validity of the transfer. Basta i-transfer sila kaya nagira sa Marawi, no? So we should accept them, no? Okay, there was also an issue, a concern. Nag-transfer ko na ang bata from just within the district. Unya, fourth quarter na. But ato pangutan-on nga ngano unsay reason, no? But basta fourth quarter pero dili jud nato balibaran. We will first assess on the issue kung nganong mo transfer siya just within our area, ana, no? But again, DepEd Order, dili jud nato sila balibaran even fourth quarter na. And make sure also the grades for the third quarter are already ready na anapod. Kay basi we will encounter problems later on, no? Okay, that was my last slide, but there is senior high school concerns on the checking. Senior high schools, track and strand, dili de specialization ang i-check. It's the track and the strand. Take note also, those who will check for senior high school, the prerequisite subjects. This was given just now by our senior high school coordinator, Ma'am Glenn Saison. And then nominal hours shall be indicated in the TVL courses. Nominal hours. Alignment of track from grade 11 to grade 12. And then no shifting of track is allowed in grade 12. These are some critical issues which needs attention by our checkers, especially those who will check the senior high schools. Okay, and then that is all for this morning. If there are questions, you can send it through our YouTube chat boxes. And we are ready with Sir Ganom to answer your inquiries. Are there questions?
Questions in YouTube.
No questions in YouTube?
Pwede sila mag-type sa platform katong nasa Zoom.
You can also type in the Teams. No, we have also, you have also Teams. Are there questions?
But
Sige, we're giving you like 3 minutes. If you can see questions.
yeah, we will be sending the soft copies
We will be sending the soft copies in
to chat of the businesses.
the group chat of the PSDSS. Are there questions? Unsa man na? Yeah, what about it? Yeah. There lang. Ma'am moderator. Thank you.
Share the over concern.
Yes, what about?
Say the concern.
The schedule, it is, you can download our memorandum number, division memorandum number 196 series of 2022, division checking and validation of LIS generated school forms, the schedule for senior high school, again, the schedule for kindergarten, grade 6, grade 12, and grade 10 shall be on June 23 to 24. June 23 to 24,
There's a group chat of business.
kinder, grade 6, grade 10, and grade 12. This memo is already given to the PSDSS of your district. Another? No more? Okay. Thank you very much for listening and thank you for your attendance. And may we have a very smooth checking of forms later on the scheduled dates. Thank you for listening and have a nice day.
Ang general daw siya.
Okay na po, am I heard?
Or ang
Am I heard?
erase po.
Sure sa sure na ba?
Erase.
Ibi ko kabuluan. Ito mo naman si Eileen.
Okay na po ba, Thea? Okay, thank you. Okay na daw. Sige, sir, if you have further queries, questions, clarifications, please don't hesitate to hit our chat box. You can raise questions in our YouTube live or in the platform if you are inside the Microsoft Teams platform. Yes?
And diploma certificate, just like what we did before, kay wala pa man siya yung memorandum na nag-send that.
Diplomas and certificates daw po, as is lang, just like we did last time.
But the average.
But
Same na po,
Okay.
But just to remind the different committees to the requirements. Ma'am, grade mo na?
Asa to? Ang paper?
Kasi yung tampo certificate is
Itong paper nga gamay.
Wait first.
Ang yellow.
Dara din eh. Ako nag-derive. Kana for senior high school, kana.
Sige, kinsa man na. Ma'am, grade, paniyan. Yes, ma'am, grade. Discuss na siya on air.
Ma'am, titi.
Dara diya number last.
Di po.
Ata na siya, no? Sige.
Okay, we also have here reminders from our division senior high school coordinator, Ma'am Glenn Saison, that you need to check the track and strand offered by the senior high school against the certificate of recognition issued by the regional office. So dapat magkatugma po yung certificate of recognition to your tracks and strands offered. Then another, no shifting of track is allowed in grade 12. Alignment of track, it should be from grades 11 to 12. Then nominal hours shall be indicated in the TVL courses. Okay, so for more clarification, let's welcome our division senior high school coordinator, Dr. Glenn Saison.
Siya.
Wala ko.
Akong point siya pag nito.
Good morning, everyone. I would like to give some points for the checking of forms in the senior high school. First, I would like to remind everyone about the track and strand. In SF10, many of our teachers will place their track and specialization. It should not be specialization. Instead, it is a strand. For example, if the offering is cookery in the TVL track, the form should be what is being indicated in the form should be track and strand course in SF10. In SF10, the track and the strand and the course, but it should be only track and strand, meaning TVL HE. If it is humanities being offered by the school, it should be academic/UMS, academic/STEM, academic/GAS, academic/arts and design. I know, academic/ABM, not arts and design, because arts and design is another track. We don't have sports in our division for this school year. Then another one, we have to take note of prerequisite subjects. Okay, parang mahirapan tayo dito. When we say prerequisite subjects, in most cases, it is labeled as 1. Requisite subjects is labeled as 2. But in ABM, it's different. I find difficulty in discussing since I don't have the slides. But in checking the ABM strand, there are subjects should be offered in the first semester, not in the second semester because they are prerequisites. And business, ethics, and social responsibilities, take note that it will be in the second semester as well as business finance. Second semester of grade 12. Business ethics and social responsibilities. For humanities, in the curriculum of humanities, discipline and ideas in social sciences is a prerequisite subject. Hindi pwede na magbaligtad ang DISS at saka DIAS. DISS is a prerequisite subject, then followed by DIAS, Discipline and Ideas in Applied Sciences, DISS. Another one, for the nominal hours, it shall be indicated in the TVL courses. If they will not indicate the nominal hours after the indicated course, after the specialization rather, then they have to put the name, no, it's not the name. They have to place again the subject, the specialization, and it shall be repeated again in the space provided for the specialization. The nominal hours that will be indicated will be in the first indicated specialization only. Kung iutrohon, if it is repeated, then do not indicate the nominal hours. Let us take note that in the TVL track, there should be an alignment of the strand. If the student applied home economics strand, therefore, grade 11 first semester, grade 11 second semester, grade 12 first semester, grade 12 second semester, all the courses and specializations are related to home economics. Hindi pwede, again may I remind everyone, hindi pwede na sa grade 11, nag-offer ng TVL Industrial Arts. Then in grade 12, nag-shift siya ng home economics. That is no. It's a violation of the policy. So let us take note of that kasi iba sa ating mga schools, nag-offer ng ICT sa grade 11, pagdating sa grade 12, nag-offer ng home economics. So kung ganun ang nangyari, if that happens in the offering of the schools, then hindi makagraduate ang bata. Because they lack the number of nominal hours. So kailangan aligned lahat ang kanilang track and strand. And let us check the permit if it is a private school and the certificate of recognition. We will request the school to attach the certificate of recognition in their forms para makita natin kung ang ino-offer ng school has the certificate of recognition issued by the regional office. Kasi yung iba naman nag-o-offer na walang permit or walang certificate of recognition. And that is a violation of the guidelines. Then another one, another thing that hindi ko alam kung yung mga TVL teachers, they know already the number of nominal hours. We will go back to the TVL kasi ito ang pinakamahirap sa checking of forms. Because there is a certain nominal hours that they have to comply. They have to comply before graduation. So kaya nga, kailangan if we are not so familiar with the number of nominal hours, we will ask somebody to assist us if in case we do not know well with the number or the nominal hours. Kasi yung mga industrial arts courses, it is 320 hours. 320 hours. So in-offer ang mga courses na yun within 1 year. Like for example, SMAU NC1, that is for one school year. Bali, 2 semesters. For NC2, that will be offered in grade 12, another school year. Yung CSS, kailangan ma-offer yan from grades 11 up to grade 12. From grades 11 to grade 12. Yung cookery, that is only for 1 year. Good for 2 semesters. But if it is in grade 12, it is offered in grade 12, then it should be BPP, bread and pastry, and the other semester will be food and beverage. Yung mga basketry, kasi marami dyan, I advise the school that they have to complete the number of hours kahit hindi ito, this is not an NC specialization. Like for example, yung macrame, fashion accessories, these are non-NC specialization. So, kailangan ikumpleto rin nila ang number of nominal hours required in the curriculum, which is good for 1 semester. This will be offered in 1 semester. Yung mga non-NC. But yung mga NC courses, like beauty care, like hairdressing is good for 1 school year or good for 2 semesters. Caregiving is good for 2 school years, bali 4 semesters. Yun na nga. Sa checking of forms also, checking of diploma. In checking of diploma, they should place their TVL track, but it should not be abbreviated. It should be technical, vocational, and livelihood track. It's not TVL. Then for the strand, it should be home economic strand. Again, no specialization shall be indicated in the different forms and in the diploma. It should only the track and the strand. I think those are the things that we need to check in checking of SF10. Lastly, no shifting of track. Again, no shifting of track, meaning if they started already in academic, Hindi na pwede sa TBL sila sa grade 12. Otherwise, kung nag-shift ang bata sa grade 12, hindi na siya makapag-graduate. Kasi kulang na ang kanyang number of hours sa required curriculum na academic. So kung academic lang. Kung arts and design lang. Hindi pwede na mag-shift siya ng ibang track. So yun ang let us check carefully in that particular aspect. It's because yun na nga, pag we allow them, if we are not careful in checking that one, it means that the students are not compliant with the requirement of the curriculum.
Thank you.
So I think that's all. I'm sorry, I have no slides.
All right, thank you so much, Ma'am Glenn Saison, our Division Senior High School Coordinator, for those inputs. So I hope naliwanagan na ang lahat. So another reminder po, there will only be 2 levels of checking, school and division. School and division lang po. 2 levels lang of checking of forms. Do we have another inputs, additional information? Wala na. Yeah. It was raised earlier by Sir Alain Maestrado about the homeroom guidance. So, based on the advisory dated November 18, 2021, no need na po. The homeroom guidance will no longer be reflected in your forms, the homeroom letter grade.
Yes.
It will no longer be reflected in your forms. Do we have questions in the platform?
Type on the paper is up.
Paper?
Any white special paper pa din po pa sa COC ng grade 10.
Of course, it's
COC of grade 10.
Certificate of completion.
yeah, it's a different time because it was only SFs are only Katongi mentioned. So COC they
What
can
has been practiced before, wala pa man good siya yung memo that would change the practice before. So ingat nga.
So since we have no memo, no additional memo or new memo for this, so we are going to follow the same mechanics that we have followed for the past years. I think that would be all. Thank you everyone for your indulgence. Thank you for bearing with us. Time check, it's 11:58 in the morning. God bless you all, and may we have a successful checking of forms. God bless everyone. Sure sa sure.
Kagaya sa iyang exposure.